asks Kaisel to take him to his sister as fast as possible. The scene shifts to the school, where the shadow orcs were eliminating the monsters. They cleared the room, saving the remaining students in the process. The students couldn't believe that these monsters had actually saved them. Jaina approached one of the orcs, asking if her older brother was there. She began calling out for Jinwoo, but the shadow orc stopped her, pointing toward the door as the sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the room. Meanwhile, in another location, an orc sat on a throne, while one of his subordinates reported to him, "The final restrictions have been lifted, and we can now enter the human world." The monster declared, "I am the chief of the Red Blade tribe, and nothing can stop me now." His subordinate informed him that high orc warriors were assisting the humans. The chief, irritated, asked, "How many?" The subordinate replied, "3." Hearing this, the chief became enraged and scoffed. "To think that the great orc warriors cannot handle 3 high orcs? How pathetic." Picking up his weapon, he commanded, "Lead the way. It's time for slaughter." Meanwhile, back in the dungeon, the hunters grew anxious, seeing the insect monsters swarming around them. They pleaded with Park Jung-soo. They feared that if the monsters considered them enemies, they wouldn't stand a chance. Park Jung-soo, however, insisted they couldn't just leave. "If we back out now, there will be no way to deal with the reporters outside. We can't stop just because we're afraid of some summons." Just then, Baru suddenly approached him. Seeing Baru up close, Park Jung-soo was terrified but kept his composure. He said, "Let's go." In an instant, Baru vanished and reappeared in front of him, startling him so much that he fell to the ground. Without a word, Baru tossed something toward him before turning to leave. The rest of the hunters rushed to check on Park Jung-soo, asking if he was all right and whether they should follow the monsters. Instead, he told them, "First, let's take a look at this." As they examined what Baru had brought, they realized it was the head of the Death Knight. Staring at it in shock, Park Jung-soo muttered, "It killed the highest-ranked monster in an instant. To think they're this strong." He asked if anyone still wanted to quit, but when he looked up, he was the only one still sitting. The rest of the hunters had already started following Baru and the other monsters. Back at the school, the Shadow High Orcs were trying to protect Gina from the attacking orcs, but the chief was too powerful for them. He declared, "Orc tattoos are a symbol of victory. They are proof of how many enemies I've slain." He then attacked, taunting, "Keep me entertained, High Orc warriors." However, one of the Shadow High Orcs blocked his strike, impressing the chief. "You managed to stop my sword," he said, "but you have no chance." With that, he sliced through them. Yet the soldiers began regenerating instantly. The chief was stunned. Is this some kind of spell? No matter how much he cut them, they kept coming back. Suddenly, he started hearing voices in his head, urging him to kill humans. "It's getting worse. I need to end this quickly." Realizing the soldiers were likely controlled by someone, he thought, "If they move because of magic, I just need to take care of their controller." His eyes then locked onto Jaina, hiding behind the High Orcs. He ordered his minions to seize her, instructing them to keep attacking while the High Orcs were momentarily powerless during regeneration. Slowly, they overwhelmed all 3 shadow soldiers. Panic spread among the students as the chief grabbed Gina by the mouth, lifting her into the air. "As I suspected, it's you. I can sense the magic power." Gina trembled in fear. But just as the chief prepared to finish her, something outside the window caught his attention. He let go of her, his expression twisting into shock. A massive shadow was descending rapidly toward them. Feeling its power, the chief was overwhelmed. Something is coming, something terrifying. He warned his minions to brace for impact, just as Jinwoo crashed into the building, sending the chief flying. Jinwoo gently patted Gina's head. "You're safe now." Meanwhile, the chief struggled to his feet, staring at Jinwoo and Kaisel in fear. "I am Garrick Daru, chieftain of the Red Blade." But Jinwoo cut him off. "Shut up and wait." Instead, he turned to Gina, who was still trembling and crying. Hugging her tightly, he whispered, "I'm sorry for being late." Checking on the others, he turned to Han Sungyi. "Are you okay?" She shook her head. Noticing the red mark on Gina's face, Jinwoo's eyes burned with fury. Without hesitation, he summoned Igris. "Protect Gina." Then glaring at the remaining orcs, he commanded his shadow soldiers. Take the students and head downstairs. As one orc attempted to flee, Jinwoo growled, I said, don't move. Once the students had evacuated, the orc leader confronted him. So those immortal high orcs were your soldiers. Who are you? And how do you speak our language? Jinwoo, however, was in no mood for conversation. Seeing his rage, the orc warned his minions, he won't answer. Attack! The orcs charged. The first swung his axe, but Jinwoo caught his hand mid-swing, crushing his fingers before slamming him to the ground. Then, without hesitation, he stomped on the orc's head, ending him instantly. Seeing this, two more orcs lunged. Using Dominator's touch, Jinwoo stopped them in midair and clenched his fist, turning them both into mush. Now furious, the remaining orcs swarmed him, but Jinwoo tore through them mercilessly, pushing forward until only one orc remained. The last orc, trembling in fear, found itself pinned to the wall by Dominator's touch. Jinwoo grabbed it by the mouth. Why, he demanded, why do your kind want to kill humans so badly? The orc, terrified, confessed, the voices in our heads tell us to kill. Jinwoo narrowed his eyes. And what about now? Can you hear those voices when you're near me? The orc stammered, begging for forgiveness. Jinwoo tightened his grip. Answer me. Do you hear them now? When the creature failed to respond, Jinwoo summoned his dagger. As I thought, I'm not even human in your eyes, am I? But it doesn't matter. I'll forgive you. His eyes gleamed darkly as he raised his blade. Just don't expect the process to be painless. Back in the dungeon, young Cha Hyen was pulling on something, saying, don't you know how expensive that is? She was trying to stop one of the shadow ants from eating a monster. She told it that vampires were very valuable and not to eat them, but the ant scratched her shoulder and continued devouring the monster. Seeing this, Baru approached her and started healing her injuries. She thanked him while thinking, how can a summoned creature cast better healing magic than me? As they entered the boss room, they saw a monster hovering in the air, surrounded by several minions. The hunters recognized them as the Arch-Lich and 10 Death Knights. Park Jong-soo recalled the incident in China, where a famous guild called Gold Dragon was annihilated by an Arch-Lich, which led to a dungeon break. He thought it was impossible for any normal A-rank hunter to defeat such a monster. As he was deep in thought, one of the hunters alerted the group that more undead were approaching from the rear. Park Jong-soo quickly ordered Cha Hyen to block the entrance with her magic. She created a barrier at the entrance, preventing the undead from entering. I can hold this for only 5 minutes, she informed them. As Park Jong-soo considered their next move, he noticed Baru advancing toward the Arch-Lich. The boss immediately recognized him as a shadow soldier of the monarch and demanded to know why the monarch's personal army was attacking them. Baru chuckled and said, we were chosen by the monarch, and you weren't. The Arch-Lich refused to believe it. That cannot be. I will personally report this to the monarch. Baru simply laughed. You talk too much for someone about to die, he said, leaping forward and grabbing the glowing essence from the Lich's chest. The monster screamed in agony as Baru crushed the orb in his hand. With the boss defeated, all the undead soldiers within the dungeon began to collapse and disappear. The hunters stood in shock, unable to believe that Baru had killed an Arch-Lich in a single move. After the battle, Baru let out a triumphant roar. Watching him, Park Jong-soo thought, I knew he was strong, but this strong. He then reflected on Sung Jinwoo's power. He figured that Jinwoo likely couldn't command all his summons at once, as doing so would rapidly drain his mana. However, based on their overwhelming strength, even if Jinwoo only summoned half of his army, he could still wield a force more powerful than a major guild. Back at the school, the Hunter Association had arrived to control the situation. Jinwoo was sitting with Chairman Go Gun-hee in his car. The chairman informed him that the 213 students who had quickly escaped were all safe, while only 10 others were rescued from the building. However, all the remaining students were gone. He then handed Jinwoo his phone, displaying a graph that showed the number of gates appearing in that area over the last 6 months. He explained that all countries were experiencing an exponential surge in gate appearances, as well as an increase in the number of newly awakened hunters. In other words, while the number of gates is rising, so is the number of hunters who can close them, he stated. Jinwoo then asked why the chairman wanted to meet with him today. In response, Go Gun-hee handed him a stack of documents, explaining, "People from Japan, the United States, China, Russia, France, the UK, Germany, and even some countries in the Middle East wish to meet with you. These documents contain their official requests." He added that some had likely already reached out through unofficial channels. While the association could protect Jinwoo's personal information as he had requested, they had no right to stop these foreign parties from making contact. The chairman then urged Jinwoo to consider staying in Korea, emphasizing that if he were to leave, the country would struggle to adapt to the global changes occurring. As they neared a hospital, the chairman informed Jinwoo that this was where his younger sister, Gina, had been taken. As Jinwoo prepared to leave, Go Gun-hee assured him that he would provide whatever resources were necessary if he chose to remain in Korea. He stressed that the nation had already lost 3 of its 10 S-rank hunters and could not afford to lose another. Hearing this, Jinwoo replied, "In that case, I'd like to enter high-rank gates alone from now on. Can you make that happen?" The chairman, surprised, asked if that was the reason Jinwoo had created his own guild. He thought to himself, a one-man assault squad, and acknowledged that while it would be difficult, it was not impossible. Fast forward, we see Yoo Jin-ho on a call with someone, inviting them to join their guild. The person on the other end was his cousin, Yoo Suk-young. Jin-ho tried to convince her to join their guild rather than becoming an ambassador for his father's guild. She questioned his reasoning. She was skeptical, asking if he was trying to recruit her for a guild that hadn't even been officially formed yet, and whether he was sure he wasn't being scammed by some shady guy. However, once she learned that Sung Jinwoo was the one creating the guild, she became interested. Upon arriving, Jin-ho introduced her, saying, "This is my cousin, Yoo Suk-young, an A-rank hunter." Seeing how excited she was to meet Jinwoo, Jin-ho commented, "You're the real celebrity here." Meanwhile, Jinwoo thought to himself, is she really an A-rank? As they sat down, Jinwoo warned her that joining their guild would create a stir and asked if she was prepared for that. She confidently responded, "Anything is better than getting mixed up with Yoojin Sung." Jinwoo, confused, asked who she was referring to. Jin-ho clarified, "That's my older brother." Jinwoo then asked, "The one with the bad personality?" After their discussion, Yoo Suk-young asked Jinwoo if she could take a selfie with him to post online. The scene shifted to the Hunter Association building, where Senator Nam Jung-wook was protesting against Chairman Go Gun-hee's appeal to allow Hunter Sung Jinwoo to enter high-level dungeons alone. He told those present that the regulation had been put in place as soon as Hunter Sung Jinwoo established his guild. "If this isn't preferential treatment, then I don't know what is," he added, stating that the Hunter Association exists for the good of all hunters, not just Hunter Jinwoo, and demanded an explanation from the chairman. Chairman Go Gun-hee admitted, "You're right, this is preferential treatment." He then explained the reasoning behind this decision. He posed a question. If you had to choose between deploying 20 A-rank hunters or an assault squad consisting of just Hunter Jinwoo in a dungeon break zone, which would you choose? He reminded them that guilds worldwide were desperate to recruit Jinwoo and questioned whether they truly believed he would remain in Korea if they refused to compromise with him. "Are you planning to make the same mistake again, like when Hunter Hwang Dong-soo left for America?" He then emphasized, "If you think this type of preferential treatment is unreasonable, I urge you to consider who will save your life when another S-rank gate appears here in Korea." Meanwhile, Hunter Cha Hai-in was looking at her phone, staring at a picture of Jinwoo with Yoo Soo-yeon. Seeing this, she began to tremble before letting out a frustrated scream. Fast forward, and we see Jinwoo with Yoo Jin-ho, preparing for their guild's first raid. Upon seeing the gate, Jin-ho remarked, "I've never seen anything like this. This gate is massive." They were soon surrounded by reporters bombarding them with questions, including inquiries about Jinwoo's relationship with his guild member, Yoo Soo-hyun. Jinwoo turned to Chief Woo Jin-chul. "I thought the association was keeping my personal information private. What happened?" Chief Woo explained, "We can protect your personal details, but we can't prevent the public from discovering the location of the gates." He advised Jinwoo to be mindful of what gets posted on social media. Jinwoo then recalled the picture with Yoo Soo-yeon on Instagram. As they prepared to enter, Jinho suggested hiring a mining and collection team, as he didn't think he could handle everything himself. However, Jinwoo reassured him, "Don't worry about that. My shadows will take care of everything." Woo Jin-chul observed the mana readings of the shadow soldiers and was astonished. All of them were B rank or higher. He commented, "A squad like this is more than qualified for a raid permit into an A-rank gate." It became clear that Jinwoo was making a mockery of those arguing over whether this was preferential treatment. Woo Jin-chul then announced, "I've been ordered by the chairman to observe your raid. He wants to confirm whether this is truly a safe idea. Would it be all right if I accompany you as a representative of the inspection team, just for today?" Jinwoo smirked and asked, "Are you sure you'll be okay in there with us?" Woo Jin-chul was puzzled by the question. Fast forward a few minutes, and we see Woo Jin-chul sweating profusely as he witnesses Jinwoo's shadow soldiers effortlessly tearing through A-rank monsters. This is an A-rank monster. A Naga, he thought. Even elite hunters with exceptional combat and magic abilities would struggle against these creatures. Yet Jinwoo's army overwhelmed them with ease, their regenerative abilities making them nearly unstoppable. His gaze locked onto Igris. That one is especially powerful. He watched as the blood-red commander effortlessly dispatched multiple enemies with his sword. Woo Jin-chul then noticed something else. Only mages of the highest caliber can wield lightning magic. Is that really an A rank? Realizing it was likely even stronger, he wondered, if I were to fight that thing one-on-one, would I even stand a chance? As the battle continued, Woo Jin-chul spotted an ant-like shadow munching on a dead monster. Jinwoo swiftly kicked the ant, sending it flying into the ceiling. "I told you not to eat those. Do you have any idea how valuable these corpses are?" He then turned to his lower-ranked soldiers and ordered, "Get back to mining those mana crystals." Seeing him work, Wu thought, he's capable of clearing an A-rank dungeon, retrieving corpses, and mining mana crystals all by himself. This isn't just a one-man assault squad. After all the minions were dead, the boss finally appeared. Seeing the creature, Jinwoo ordered his soldiers, "Those of you who are still working can stay. The rest of you, return." Wu asked him, "Why did you have the other soldiers leave? Your summons would have been strong enough to take down the boss themselves." Summoning his daggers, Jinwoo replied, "Relying too much on my shadows makes me lose my touch." He then started running up the monster's body with incredible speed. Before the monster had any chance to defend itself, Jinwoo sliced its face in two with just one swing of his weapon and leaped into the air. Seeing this, Wu was left speechless. In all his years as a hunter, he had never seen anything like it. After the boss was defeated, Jinwoo saw that he had gained a level and that his abilities had been upgraded, including Shadow Exchange. Its cooldown had decreased by 1 hour. Seeing this, Jinwoo thought, the cooldown goes down by an hour for every level I gain. If I keep leveling up this skill, I'll be able to go wherever I want without worrying about my mom and sister's safety. Meanwhile, Wu was staring at the boss's corpse, thinking, Naga's scales are tough enough to be used as shields or armor, but he sliced through them with just 2 daggers. Jinwoo then used shadow extraction on the defeated boss, and a shadow began to emerge from the corpse. A notification appeared. You have successfully enhanced the shadow's power. The shadow will start at level 13. Observing the newly formed soldier, Jinwoo thought, it's the same rank as Tusk, but starting at level 13, which means it's as strong as it was when it was alive. But it's much smaller now. Shadows usually stay the same size or grow when I extract them. Even so, it's emitting an enormous amount of mana. I think it's about as strong as Tusk. Another notification prompted him to name his new soldier. He decided to name it Jima. As he finished, the cave began to shake. Seeing this, Jinho told Jinwoo, we should get going. Looking at the boss's corpse, Jinwoo thought, what do I do about this? After a while, Tusk emerged from the gate carrying the boss's dead body on his shoulder. Reporters immediately recognized him as one of Jinwoo's summons and began taking pictures. As the rest of the squad exited the dungeon, Wu appeared completely overwhelmed by everything he had witnessed inside. Later, we see Wu sitting in the chairman's office, reporting everything he had seen in the dungeon. Listening to him, the chairman commented, You've seen many different raids over the years, but hearing your report, I understand why even a veteran like you is overwhelmed. Wu responded, what I witnessed wasn't a raid. It was a massacre. After Hunter Wu left, the chairman pondered everything he had just heard, thinking, hunters from Korea. No, all over the world are about to see the tides turn. The story shifts to Japan, where an unnatural phenomenon is occurring. People are staring at the sky in confusion, unsure of what's happening as they witness a gigantic red gate ominously looming above. Elsewhere, people are discussing the sudden appearance of the red gate and the alarming rise in high-level gates throughout the country. They mention that, due to the current crisis in Japan, all major guilds have been summoned for an emergency meeting to determine their next move. After losing 7 of their S-rank hunters, including Goto Ryuji, during the Jeju Island raid, they no longer have the manpower to respond effectively. As the conversation continues, the remaining S-rank members of the Draw Sword Guild are seen walking toward the conference room. Observing them, some individuals comment on how President Matsumoto of the Japanese Hunters Association is reaching his limit after the loss of Goto Ryuji. They note that since the association once held a monopoly on S-rank hunters, it's satisfying to see them struggle. They speculate that, with the few powerful hunters they have left, the guild might soon lose its position as the top guild in Japan. Sugimoto overhears their remarks, stops, and glares at them with a death stare, causing the men to back off in fear. After they leave, Minoru remarks to Sugimoto that those people weren't nearly as bold before, but now that Mr. Goto is gone, they're starting to act up again. Kane adds that there's a rumor circulating the Black Tiger Guild and the Snow Cloud Guild are planning to merge, and the combined number of S-rank hunters in those two guilds would be 4, the same as theirs. Unfazed, Sugimoto replies that there's no need to worry. Despite having S-rank hunters, those guilds are still weak and lacking in real strength. Inside a government meeting room, a man angrily yells at the officials, demanding answers as to why the Hunters Association hasn't responded to the S-rank gate that appeared in the middle of Tokyo. He asks if they still haven't come up with a plan and expresses fear about the consequences of a dungeon break. Matsumoto Shigeo, chairman of the Japanese Hunters Association, explains that their current S-rank hunters aren't capable of handling an S-rank gate, not unless they enlist the help of national-level hunters. Another official counters, saying that asking such obvious questions is pointless. Everyone saw the terrifying power of the monsters from an S-rank gate during the Jeju Island raid, where they lost most of their top-ranked hunters, including one who was said to be on the verge of becoming a national-level hunter. He warns that attempting to clear another S-rank dungeon without national-level support could lead to similar losses. Someone suggests contacting Thomas Andre, the American national-level hunter, but it's revealed that Japan lacks the funding to hire someone of his caliber. Furthermore, due to the global increase in gates, every country is recruiting mercenary hunters for their own needs, leaving Japan with no external options. As the room grows tense, Sugimoto speaks up and mentions someone who might be willing to help, for the right price. A mysterious figure known as the barrier expert Yuri Orlov. The scene shifts to Jinwoo sitting in his car. Inside, he thinks to himself, I can't believe I'm level 101 now. At level 100, he received the key to the Kartanon Temple, and at level 101, all of his job-specific skills leveled up. I can't wait to see what happens at level 102, he thinks as he gets out of the car. He notices someone in the parking lot. It's Hunter Cha Hei-in. Upon seeing Jinwoo, she quickly turns and starts walking away. In a blink, Jinwoo appears right next to her and asks, why did you start running when you saw me? If you were going to run, why come to my office in the first place? Flustered, Hunter Cha stumbles over her words and points toward a spot in the lot, saying her car is still parked there. Jinwoo realizes she wasn't able to take it last time because they used Shadow Exchange to teleport to the gymnasium. Hunter Cha then asks if he has time to talk. Jinwoo asks what she wants to discuss. In her mind, she recalls the photo she saw of him with Lee Joo-hee and wonders why he chose Joo-hee over her, even though she herself is an S-rank hunter. She wants to know if they're dating, but instead of voicing her feelings, she suppresses them and says, Hunter Min Byung-gu asked me to give you a message. It's about his power. That catches Jinwoo's attention, as he's been looking for answers about that as well. He stops and says, "Let's continue this conversation somewhere private." They arrive at the office and Cha asks why it's so empty. Jinwoo tells her that the Vice Guild Master, Yu Jinho, stayed behind at the dungeon site. Hearing this, Cha blushes, realizing she's alone with Jinwoo. Jinwoo asks how Min Byung-gu was able to leave a message with her. She begins to explain a vision she had while unconscious on Jeju Island. She tells him she was drifting in darkness when a hand reached out and pulled her up. It was Min Byung-gu. He told her that his power was overwhelming and terrifying, something Jinwoo needed to understand. He tried to tell her about Jinwoo's true army, but disappeared before he could say more. We later see Jinwoo sitting inside a dungeon, thinking deeply about what Cha told him. True or not, he thinks, I need to discover the source of my power. That's more important than just getting stronger. Sitting next to him is Jinho, who asks, "Your summons can move on their own, so why do we have to go with them? Why not let them handle it while we relax?" Jinwoo explains he can't always trust those idiots when he's not watching them. Jinho then asks about Jinwoo's sister. Jinwoo says she's doing well after the dungeon break at her school, but doctors recommended she rest, so he stationed his most trustworthy shadows by her side for protection. He decides to check up on her using shadow vision, a skill that lets him see through the eyes of his summons. Viewing through Baru's perspective, he sees Baru lounging and watching TV while Jinna is asleep on the couch. Jinwoo sighs and thinks, I should have known, and wonders, is that really the kind of show Baru likes? Jinwoo decides to check up on the rest of his shadows using shadow vision. First, he sees his mother shopping for groceries. Then he sees Hunter Baek Yoonho and Hunter Choi Jong-in bickering as usual. After that, he shifts his focus to Hunter Cha, only to see her in the shower. Startled, he immediately stops using the ability. Yu Jinho, sitting nearby, asks, "Did you fall asleep?" But Jinwoo is deep in thought, slightly embarrassed. I better apologize to her, he thinks. Maybe I should buy her lunch sometime. Meanwhile, Jinho tells him about a new issue. An S-rank gate has appeared in Shinjuku, Japan, and there are less than 3 days left before a dungeon break. The Japanese government is urgently summoning hunters from all over. Jinho asks if they contacted Jinwoo. Jinwoo replies that they did, but there's something more pressing he's considering right now. As they talk, the dungeon they're in begins to rumble, prompting them to prepare to leave. Scenes shift to Japan as we see Yuri Orlov, a national-level hunter from Russia, introducing himself to Sugimoto, a Japanese official. He boasts, I am the greatest support-type hunter in the world. He continues mockingly, I read the report from the Short Sword Guild. It was a good decision to evacuate the civilians. But is it true that Japan could only spare 6 S-rank hunters for this operation? Sugimoto confirms. Due to the appearance of multiple A-rank gates across the country, each guild was forced to leave at least 1 S-rank hunter behind to protect their own territories. Even their guild is leaving one behind, while 3 others join the Shinjuku mission. Hearing this, Orlov scoffs. Pathetic. How can you protect your country like this? He then adds, I'll hold back the gate for you, as long as you want. My fee, $3.6 billion a year, $10 million a day. Shocked, Sugimoto asks, You're seriously charging that much? Yuri smirks and replies, Compared to Thomas Andre, who's asking for 36 trillion, I'm a bargain. Minoru, one of the Japanese hunters, turns to Kanzaki and asks what the drunk is saying. Kanzaki, who knows Russian, answers, I'm not entirely sure, but I can tell it's nothing good. Yuri then says bluntly, Are you trying to save your country or save your money? He insults the other Japanese hunters standing nearby, prompting Minoru to step forward asking, Did he just insult us? Kanzaki replies, I didn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear enough. Suddenly, they find themselves trapped inside a magical barrier, unable to move. Yuri calmly says, You won't be able to take a single step without my permission. Minoru struggles and wonders how an S-rank hunter like him could be restrained so easily. With a smug grin, Yuri turns back to Sugimoto, saying, I'll stop your S-rank gate. I'll even let them go, free of charge. How about that? Sugimoto, left with no better option, reluctantly agrees. I've confirmed your abilities, but I need to make a call first. Back in Korea, we see Jinwoo getting ready to enter the double dungeon. As he prepares, his mother gently asks, "Your mother doesn't have to worry about anything, right?" Jinwoo smiles and reassures her, "Don't worry, I just have an appointment." Once the timer on the key runs out, its destination is revealed. The gate's location, Gina's school. Jinwoo quickly heads there. Upon arrival, he spots several Hunter Association agents standing guard outside the gate. He walks up to them and asks, "How long has this gate been here?" One of the agents replies, "3 days. It's just a C-rank gate. A Hunter assault squad entered it about 2 hours ago." Jinwoo immediately tells them, "You need to call them back. They're in danger. If they stay inside, they'll die." Without wasting time, he begins to enter the gate. "I'll return with the assault squad." Meanwhile, the assault squad has already made their way through the dungeon. They come to a halt in front of the boss room, but the door is locked. They try everything, including magic, but nothing works. As they're discussing what to do next, a voice calls out from behind them. It's a trap. Startled, the squad turns around to find Jinwoo standing there. Suspicious, they ask, "Who are you? What are you doing in this dungeon?" Jinwoo calmly answers, "I'm a survivor of a double dungeon." One of the hunters suddenly recognizes him. "Wait, are you the new S-rank hunter of Korea?" Jinwoo nods and tells them, "This place is extremely dangerous. You all need to leave. I'll handle things from here." He approaches the door and sees a system notification. The gate to the Kartanon temple is currently locked. Please insert the key. Jinwoo takes out the temple key, thinking to himself, "This is different from the last time." As the door opens, the other hunters stare in disbelief. "How did he open it? It wouldn't even budge for us." One of them steps forward and says, "This dungeon was purchased by the Dragon Guild. It's their property. You have no right to order us around." The others echo similar thoughts. Jinwoo replies firmly, "I won't stop you. Anyone who wishes to enter the gate, please feel free to enter." One of the hunters steps forward and enters the room. Instantly, Jinwoo receives a system alert. An individual without the temple key has entered. Access denied. Suddenly, a stone statue comes to life and swings its massive sword toward the intruder. Just in time, Jinwoo grabs the hunter from behind and pulls him out of the room, saving his life. He looks at them all and says, "Every monster in this dungeon is like that. Are you still willing to enter?" Turning back toward the gate, Jinwoo instructs the squad, "Contact the Hunter Association immediately. Tell them a double dungeon has appeared." With that, he enters the boss room alone. The door slams shut behind him, sealing him in. As he steps inside, the room begins to light up. Dozens of stone statues stand silently around him, casting long shadows. Among them, a winged statue holds a stone slab with inscriptions. At the center of the room, an entity sits motionless, surrounded by the statues. Jinwoo steps forward and speaks to himself. "This is where it all began. I've returned, but it feels different now. I can feel it in my bones." Looking at the statues, he says, "These aren't monsters, nor are they living beings. They're just puppets. Puppets controlled by something or someone. There's only one source of magic in the room." He walks toward it and asks, "Won't you say anything? Why won't you answer me?" Suddenly, the winged statue comes to life and says, "At last, you have arrived." The episode ends here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and see you next time.